Hello and welcome back to the Fastest Podcast. I'm here today with Ash and Dan, and we will be talking about everything from the greatest overtakes to the fastest pit stops. So I suppose we're back after the summer break. First qualifying session. Finally. What can we say? McLaren, it's just all about McLaren at the moment. What are your thoughts on that battle between them today? Because it looked like Norris was going to run away with it, and then Piastri's just come through it at the last minute. What are we thinking?
I think like 90% of fans thought Norris was going to take the pole because he was fast throughout most of the practice sessions, all of the practice sessions. It was just on the last qualifying laps that he kind of missed out, and Piastri had that upper hand. I think the final sector he set the fastest and went ahead. So it was like only 1,000th of a second. So it was close.
Yeah.
I mean, what I would say is on his fastest lap, Piastri even made a mistake. I think he got a kick of oversteer before the first DRS zone. The second DRS zone, sorry. Back straight. So I think, Piastri maybe had a bit more in his locker as well. So, but the fact he made a mistake and Norris still couldn't beat him, it just makes me feel Norris wasn't quite on it in Q3.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that yellow sector. He had a couple of purples in there, but as soon as we saw that yellow at the end, I knew it was over. So, bit of a disappointing one for him today, I'm sure. But I mean, going into tomorrow, we could have an interesting start between them. I mean, Lando had a great race last year at Zandvoort, so you never know. What do we think heading into the race?
I think like first lap is going to be critical for all three drivers, if you ask me, because I don't think Verstappen is not in the mix. Like if he is able to get ahead in the first lap, then he might have a upper hand. So it's going to be on the first lap and going into the turn 1 and through 4, all the way through 1 and 4.
I mean,
Until then it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, Max put some great laps in today. I mean, I was kind of hoping to add that into the mix. But again, yeah, you can't count him out in the race. Dan, what are you thinking?
Yeah, what I would say is, remember last year, I know Norris dominated the race, but he actually had a poor start. He dropped behind Verstappen at the start. So, yeah, this season his starts have been a little better than last year, but still, dirty side of the track. If there's rain overnight, that could, make it even it out. But if there's not, it's on the dirty side of the track, limited rubber. I honestly think he'll go into turn 1 third.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to rain. I don't think it's going to rain tomorrow. I think there's a 20% chance of rain scheduled for tomorrow. And today it was actually higher, but still didn't rain. So most probably no rain tomorrow, dry race. If it's raining, then I'm going Verstappen for the win.
I could see that. I mean, you have to remember as well, F1 Academy is racing as well. That could impact the track conditions too. So
it's actually supposed to rain overnight tonight.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Depends on how the F1 Academy race goes on tomorrow. And the Porsche is also there tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Porsche Super Cup, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that's going to affect our track conditions.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay, no. Verstappen definitely seems to be maybe a bit more comfortable in the car than he was in the coming to the end of the first half of the season. I mean, Budapest, he was kind of in his own race. So it's good to see him, in front of the home crowd in the mix. And I'd put money on him if it rains tomorrow, definitely. But you never know. You never know with Zandvoort. With the wind, anything could happen. Things can change very quickly with the weather. But, I mean, on McLaren, so you're both thinking Piastri's going to run away with it? Or have we...
I'm going for Piastri. I'm a Piastri fan.
Okay.
I wouldn't say he'll run away with it. They've been quite close in the last, few races. So I wouldn't say he'll run away with it. If he wins it, I wouldn't say it'd be more than a 5 second gap. I think Norris will put him under pressure, or Verstappen, but I would say mainly Norris will be putting him under pressure. But Piastri's quite calm and collected, so I do expect to win from pole.
I mean, like I said before, I think it's going to be on that first lap. Like this year, we have seen dirty air affect the cars a lot this year. So overtaking has been difficult. So if Piastri is able to stay ahead after the first lap, then I would say he has a much more better chance of going ahead from there. So Norris will have to kind of get that inside line and try to utilize the inside line and get ahead of Piastri.
Definitely. I think it was probably very important for Norris to come here on the front foot. He kind of started the weekend strong, and now who knows what could happen tomorrow. But I think a win here would be very crucial for his momentum, maybe, because he had that great win in Hungary. Nice battle between the drivers there.
Not just for the momentum, but I think even for the championship, like right now it's 9 points lead for Piastri. If Norris wins and Piastri comes second, it's going to be a 2 point lead for Piastri. So that's going to be kind of change the dynamics of the championship, and kind of next is Monza as well. So we all remember last year Monza, Piastri, Norris, that overtake. So it'll be a huge setup for Monza if Norris wins this.
What I would say is I hope that Papaya rules is now out of the window. You just want to see them race hard. They've won the Constructors' Championship. The team, they don't really need to worry about that aspect. So just let them race as hard as they possibly can. If they do collide, discuss that in the briefing after. But for the actual race, that they should just be let to go. There's a championship on the line. It's going to be one or two of them. So just let them race hard.
I don't really think that we've seen the whole Papaya rules thing have such a big hold, especially up into the summer break. I think last year maybe they recognised how detrimental that ended up being for them. So I don't know. I think that might be less of a factor than people kind of want it or think it is. Especially with, Hungary, when we saw, we've seen what Norris has said this weekend about Hungary and how, things play out that way sometimes. There's not some big sort of conspiracy going on behind the scenes, one driver over the other. I think McLaren are kind of just letting them get on with it now. That's what it looks like from the outside. But I'd say definitely coming into the summer break, it looked
I think Dan has the opposing view.
Probably, but
yeah, I do. It's also good to see I'm not the only one with dogs making a guest appearance. What I would say is, in Austria and in Hungary, Piastri made the moves. Yeah, he locked up, and then they called it off. They called the attack off. They said, be clever. If Piastri is going to dive bomb Norris, go for it. Let him try it. It's not going to be a detriment to the team. Yeah, it might slightly impact them in the cost cap when they're making repairs, but let him go for it. It's racing. It makes it exciting. In a season where it has been a Quali championship, let them go for it.
See, I agree with Dan actually. So although McLaren hasn't said don't go for overtake, don't race your teammate or things like that, they have asked the drivers to be a bit extra careful when racing each other. That's been there, and we have noticed that also. Because a lot of times when things have gotten a bit close between them, the very next moment they'll come on the radio and say, "That's too close. Take it easy. Go easier on your teammate," and things like that. So I think that has had an impact on the championship, and it doesn't have the same heat as before. For example, if we see past teammate battles like Hamilton, Rosberg, Senna, Prost, all those things, both drivers are just going, which is full on. Here, I don't see that happen. They're not taking the risk that they should take in the championship battle. Let's say, for example, if they were not teammates, then they won't be as much careful, right? So I think that they should be a bit more aggressive driving here. for the championship.
All-out attack.
I'd
Yeah.
argue that if I'm Zach Brown or Andrea Stella, I'm not gonna be like, go on guys, just do your worst. I think it kind of comes down to you could race, but let's not be stupid about it. I think we've seen messy moments from both of them this season, which is maybe why McLaren are kind of saying, okay, if you're gonna do it, be smart about it. Don't, force end. We've seen some really late lunges from Piastri, which could have taken them both out of the race. Obviously Norris in Canada. So I don't know, but I disagree. I like the close racing. I think they've got a good dynamic between them. But I don't want to see them, ram into each other just to go hard racing. I don't think they need that. And I also think that, that's not good racing.
See, if you're Zach Brown, you're more than happy with what's happening right now. If you're Zach Brown or Andrea Stella or anyone, if you're the team McLaren, you're more than happy with what's going on right now. They're coming 1-2 every race, no major incidents, nothing. But think of it from the driver's perspective. Let's say you're Oscar Piastri or Lando Norris. If your driver says don't be too aggressive for your teammate who you're fighting for the championship, would you say, okay, copy and just go easy? You're fighting for the championship here. So you're neck and neck in the championship. And most probably going to go down to the final race. Would you tell your team, okay, I won't go aggressive on my teammate. I won't go aggressive on my rival just because he's my teammate?
That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that no. I'm saying that there's a difference between hard racing and messy racing. And I think on those occasions where McLaren have gone, hold up, I personally would argue that, I don't want to see silly moves that can take them both out of the race. I think they've both proven that they can race hard and race cleanly and it still be exciting. But I don't think that risking each other's race is necessary. And I think some of those moves that we've seen where McLaren have gone, ooh.
See, I'm not saying go collide with each other.
No, I know.
Hard racing, like for example, Canada was actually a good move at first from Norris. Like he had the lunge going into the hairpin. So that was actually a good move and something that he should have taken because he wasn't getting it done on the straights. He wanted to go for a different area, which he's done before also in previous years. So that was actually a good move from Norris. Yes, what he did later was a mistake, but that's the kind of aggressiveness that we want to see in a championship battle. Like I said, if you're McLaren, you're more than happy with what's happening right now. But as a driver, you need to fight a bit more harder for the title.
I would say you look a few years back, 2022, first race of the season, you had Leclerc and Verstappen going absolute hammer and tongs at each other, right? They didn't touch once. It was clean, hard, fair racing. That's all I'm calling for. I don't want to see them crash into each other, You had Leclerc locking up, still making the move. I have no problem with it. And if Piastri wants to take a risk, he's affecting his own championship as well. Because in the following race, he could DNF and then Norris wins the race. So you don't know, If he is making that lunge, he is making that calculated decision, knowing the risks. I think let him do it.
True.
I get the argument.
That's when I convinced you to change your mind, or
No.
As a Norris fan, I'm absolutely sure that you're happy with that because it's been Piastri told to stop twice. So I'm sure as a Norris fan, you're very happy.
I'm a McLaren fan. Thank you. It's not about I don't want aggressive racing, I don't want hard racing. I live for that. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. But I just think that we've seen, and yeah, he's dominating, he's leading the championship, but we've seen those sort of not tidy moves from Piastri. And then we see him race other people and he's a lot cleaner and a lot more calculating. But when he's behind Lando, there's that added layer of desperation, which I just think isn't true of the form that he shows the rest of the time.
What I would counter that is when he's racing other cars, he knows that he's got such an advantage over them. But with Norris, I'd say they're fairly equal drivers. They are. If anything, Piastri's got that slight edge of consistency.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. But on raw pace and racecraft, I would say they're fairly equal. And yeah, the car is exactly the same. So when he's racing Norris, he knows he's got to make it at a certain point. Otherwise, at the end of the day, the team will hold him back, or Norris, he'll get the better strategy, and that will ruin his race. So I think that's where I wouldn't say the desperation, but the need to get ahead is, because you've also got to think of the strategy angle.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, like, if you see back in Miami, Piastri was trying to get past Verstappen. He didn't go for any desperate moves or things like that. He waited for Verstappen to kind of like overly defend going to turn one, and then waited for that opportunity to get past. So, because they had that car advantage, he was able to wait. But with Norris and Piastri, no one has a car advantage. Same car, its maximum advantage will be minor due to setup changes, maybe. So Piastri has to kind of like make that has to be a bit more aggressive if he wants to get past Norris, especially with the dirty air and things like that, like kind of holding his car back when you're following. So aggressiveness is a little bit required for battling for the championship with the teammate.
Let's agree to disagree. You're not going to change my mind. But what I do want to talk about, though, which I think is a lot more impressive than what McLaren did, because we knew what one of them was going to be on pole, is Hadjar. Another great performance from him today. Rookie of the year?
I wouldn't go that far just yet. He's still got to convert his P4 into a decent result, and his last couple of races have been a little bit scruffy. But what I would say is Liam Lawson was coming into this weekend. He looked like he had the pace on Hadjar all weekend through practice, and even I think in Q1 and Q2. And then Hadjar just found it. He just found that extra bit of speed, extracted everything from the car, and he was able to use it for a great result. He even got ahead of the Mercedes, which will be very disappointing for Russell. But Hadjar, we've seen how good he can be on his day. He's a brilliant driver, and I hope he's able to stay at Racing Bulls for another year to learn more and develop.
Apologies for that. Anyway, but yeah, Hadjar has been honestly really good this season. He is there. He's one of the candidates for Rookie of the Year, along with, I think, Bortoletto. I think these two are the running candidates so far. Because, yes, actually, there's been a hype around him, and he did well in a few races, but he's not been as consistent as these two drivers. And same with Behrman as well. Okay, so Hadjar, I don't want him to go to Red Bull yet. He's doing well in Racing Bulls. So I think even a few weeks back, the then team principal, now team principal for Red Bull, Lauren McCasey, he said he wants Hadjar to stay in Racing Bulls for a year or so. Maybe after 2026, then they can think about getting him back to Red Bull. That will make more sense, because 2026 is like a question mark for Red Bull. No one knows what's going to happen there, and so once they understand a bit more about the car, then they can get Hadjar. And this race, I don't think he'll get P4 tomorrow for the race, but I think he's going to be either like between the Ferraris, maybe. That's a possibility for him.
I think we kind of need to see how it all pans out tomorrow, because obviously there's no guarantee. And I mean, you've got Verstappen, Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton right there. So we could see a Ferrari podium tomorrow. What do you think the chances of that are?
No.
The answer is no.
You've got to ask the question, guys. Come on.
I mean, I actually like Ferrari.
How's
I'm
that?
secretly a fan. I'm secretly a Ferrari fan, so.
How's that going for you?
I'm secretly a Ferrari fan, so it's fine.
mean,
I'm majorly a Piastri fan, secretly a Ferrari fan. So when they do well, I'm their fan. When they're not well, I make fun of the like diehard Ferrari fans. It's more like that. So I hope they get a podium. I'm hoping that Hamilton has kind of bounced back this season. I mean, this after the summer break, because I think the last time he was in Q3 was in Silverstone. After that, he's been eliminated in Q1, Q2, and so this is the first time he's made it back to Q3 after Silverstone. So I'm hoping that he's kind of finding his form after the summer break and kind of recharged and comes back with maybe a podium for this season.
Dan, thoughts on Ferrari this weekend?
They seem to have no pace whatsoever, really, do they? They're too far off. Obviously, they can be far off McLaren. That's a given. But they were quite far. I think they were like 2 or 3 tenths behind Russell. Verstappen as well. He was quite clear. I think Verstappen was just in no man's land. He was 2-3 tenths behind McLaren and 2-3 tenths ahead of Russell. So
Yeah.
I think the top 3 will be the top 3.
It's actually very close between Russell and the Ferraris. It was only about a tenth in it, which I think is interesting. I mean, they both made it into Q3, and there was a point in qualifying
True.
where it didn't look like they were going to make it into Q2. So I'll take it. But
After FP1, I was really worried about Ferrari because they were in 14th and 15th in FP1. Thankfully, in FP2, FP3 kind of bounced back, and now they're in P6 and 7.
yeah, I mean we've had those spins from Lewis. Leclerc kind of has been in no man's land. Do you think?
The spins you can really count out because a lot of drivers did mistakes in FP1.
Oh, definitely they did. But with his current form lately, I'm sure that's not boding well within the team. I mean, there's been a lot of commentary around Ferrari over the summer break coming into this weekend. Hungary was just a lot of stuff going on for them. Some good, some bad. Classic Ferrari. But I mean, what's the likelihood that Lewis is kind of getting his mojo back a little bit? Leclerc, again, kind of in no man's land this weekend so far. Do you think that they can challenge Russell tomorrow?
Definitely.
I would say the Mercedes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say the Mercedes struggles in the hot temperatures. So if it's going to be a hot day tomorrow, Russell wasn't quite on it today because the Mercedes, they can't get their tyres working in the warmer conditions. So I would say they can challenge. Again, it's difficult to overtake. I think they'll be there or thereabouts. I honestly think it will be their season. So I expect Leclerc to maybe get
I think the battle for fourth is going to be between Russell and both the Ferraris. I think Hadjar will somewhere be there, but I don't think he'll be there in fourth, like I said before. In between or behind the Ferraris. But yeah.
Could see it going either way for Hadjar. I mean, again, totally strategy dependent tomorrow, but there's going to be super high tyre deg, regardless of what happens. So could be a strategy race, and right place, right time in these circumstances.
I really hope Ferrari can get a podium this race. Or McLaren's DNF. Or both.
I could go for a McLaren DNF.
I mean, it's possible because I've said this before also. The Mercedes engines have had reliability issues so far. This season.
Can we just backtrack a sec? The McLaren fan wants a double McLaren DNF.
I'm saying they could be if Hamilton. That's the only chance that Hamilton gets a podium.
I will sacrifice both of them without a thought for Lewis Hamilton. I don't.
I'm just saying it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it's a possibility, and especially considering that Mercedes engines have had reliability issues. in the past. Like Williams, Albon has had multiple DNFs, Alonso DNF. So even Sainz had a engine issue back in Spain. So you never know.
I don't want a DNF, but you have to admit that would make things quite interesting. If Norris DNFs could be a bit bad for standings. If it was a good DNF, it throws quite an interesting spanner in the works.
I mean, both DNFs can be bad for both the drivers, but you're saying Norris because you're more of a Norris fan.
No, I think both of them would be quite entertaining for the fans. Anyway, moving on. Ferrari, what will be, will be. We can never predict what Ferrari are going to do because they themselves don't know. But I think... Could we see a little bit of Russell and Verstappen getting into it tomorrow? Or do you think that the Red Bull's kind of somewhere else?
Red Bull is in like no man's land. They're either near the McLarens or not near the Mercedes and Ferraris. I think Verstappen is going to be having his own race going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
P3.
So what are you guys predicting for the race?
Dan?
Yeah, I think the starting order will be the finishing order, unfortunately. I think it'll be the top three, Piastri, Norris, Verstappen. Behind, you kind of say it's between 3 or 4 drivers. I'll say for this one, Aston Martin do have more pace than they showed in qualifying, and I think Alonso, where's he starting? 10th. I do think the car has more pace than that, so it'll be interesting to see if he can make progress through the field. I think Aston, they're probably around the Mercedes, Ferrari pace in this race, going from what we saw in practice. If he can clear a couple of cars, I don't think he'll get 4th, but he could be, in that sort of conversation, in that battle. But I think the top 3 is pretty nailed on.
Yeah, I mean Alonso as well. He's got a Williams and a Racing Bull in front of him, so could make for like an interesting start to the race. But I don't know if he'll get through the Ferraris. But he's in an interesting position, I think. There's a lot of interesting elements around him that could make that race start quite interesting. So I suppose we'll have to wait and see.
I'm going to go for Piastri win, obviously. But I think second is going to be Verstappen. And third is going to be one of the Ferraris.
Oh my god.
Wow, are we calling this race
I'll tell you
a
what.
Norris bottle job?
This is a hostile work environment.
I'm predicting a Norris DNF.
Ooh.
Oh, if
I'm
you're
predicting a
right.
Norris DNF. I'm going for it. Piastri will take the lead. He'll be leading by 34 points after this race. Norris in the DNF.
That's an interesting prediction.
I think it will be Norris and Hamilton collide at some point.
This is just... We've gone too far, guys. We've gone far. We've gone way
Both
too
Norris
far.
and Hamilton DNF.
Handing in my resignation right now, actually.
If that happens, I don't think Jasmine's going to be there on tomorrow's episode.
Yeah, I'll be wearing, like, funeral clothing tomorrow if that happens.
We might have to send someone to her house to make sure she's fine also.
Yeah, you need to send a welfare check if any of this happens. Do you know what? I would probably say that Piastri will run away with it. I think he's going to win the race. Okay. I think Lando will be on the podium. I don't know where. But I think P3... Max has been quick over 1 lap.
I mean, I think if Lando finishes the race, he's going to come either P2, mostly P2.
Yeah.
I don't think Verstappen has the pace to kind of get ahead of Norris. I don't think so.
Oh, I think he will probably be P2. McLaren It will be a McLaren double podium, whatever happens, unless that DNF comes along. But I think it could be a complete toss-up between Russell and Verstappen, to be honest. It depends on the temperature. Putting it down to the weather.
I mean, even strategy could play a hand here. I think so far it's one-stop strategy. Most drivers will be going for, but Verstappen could try a two-stop like he did in Spain. Not two-stop in Spain. He did a four-stop, three-stop, I think. Yeah, but yeah, he could go for that one extra stop and try to get ahead of get track position at least, get the undercut and get the track position. So if that happens, it could be interesting.
In the sort of top 10, top teams, Verstappen and Russell, they haven't got their teammates to worry about in terms of strategy. So that could play an interesting role in what we see between them tomorrow. Whereas, you've got Ferrari and McLaren, both teammates are there next to each other. Strategy calls could really be interesting tomorrow. No one thought Lando was going to win in Hungary.
Even Lando didn't think so.
Exactly.
Verstappen has Hadjar though, and it's not the same team. But it's kind of the so they could use Hadjar to slow Russell down. Yeah, kind of like a not as extreme Monaco-esque because it's very difficult to overtake. You basically got turn one, so
get that pit window open.
Yeah.
Possibility.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. If McLaren do split strategies, that'll be more fun if you ask me.
Hadjar podium.
If McLaren goes for one stop and Norris goes two stops, then it'll be fun. I think right now Jasmine is stressed right now.
Tomorrow's going to be a really long day. The rest of the season is going to be... yeah. Any other thoughts on qualifying today? Anything that surprised you?
I was surprised Bottas out-qualified Hülkenberg.
I wasn't surprised about that.
Dan, any thoughts on that?
I think Hülkenberg is a fantastic driver, and he's just doing this to boost Bortoletto's confidence. We'll see tomorrow in the race.
There's quite a good few cars between them tomorrow. You've got...
I wouldn't say there's quite a few.
In Zandvoort, that's quite a few.
Yeah, I would say a lot, in fact.
Yeah.
I would say a lot. Bortoletto was what, P11?
13.
P13, right. And Hülkenberg is P17, I think.
17,
my phone filled up, so I can look at the results.
Yeah,
that loud noise before was my phone.
Lack of overtaking ability in Zandvoort. It might as well be the whole grid between them, Dan.
Yeah, I have nothing to add, I'm afraid. No comment.
Well...
Dan is a Hülkenberg fan.
Yeah. It's tough.
Good for you, man, honestly. Fair enough.
It's been a tough 15 years with one moment of happiness.
Yeah, which came this year, in fact. So
it did, yeah. It should have come in 2012. Thanks, Lewis.
So you must be kind of fresh out of that happiness too.
I'm talking about, when Lewis decided he was going to go into Hülkenberg in Brazil. Not Hulk's fault.
Actually, if Hamilton hadn't signed with Mercedes, I think Mercedes would have gone for Hülkenberg.
Just gets better, doesn't it?
And then you could have seen Hülkenberg would have been a 5-time champion, maybe.
Thanks, Lewis.
Parallel universe.
Yeah, thanks, Lewis. I think maybe on that note, before things escalate, I think we'll leave that there for today. And we will be back after the race tomorrow. If you enjoyed the podcast, please do like and subscribe. And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram as well. And on our website, where you can keep up to date with all of the latest news coming out of the sport. We'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the race.
And also come back tomorrow if Lando DNFs, because we want to see Jasmine's reaction to that. So don't forget.
Podcast cancelled tomorrow.